Hi, I'm Russ of BGN Aquariums, and today I'm going to take you on my fish room tour. Hi, I'm Russ. I'm a fish keeper from the UK, and I've been in and out of the hobby now for well over 30 years. I started in the hobby when I was 8. I was introduced to it by my father and a primary school teacher. And I had fish ranging from a community tank that just had platies, mollies, guppies, etc. in it, and over the years I kept tanks of tetras, of barbs, and even piranha fish. When I got to 25, I kind of dropped out of the hobby for a while just because life got in the way, and I got back into the hobby about 3 years ago. So we'll start the fish tank tour today with the first tank that I set up 3 years ago, and the hobby has changed so much since then with the variety of plants, live plants that you can get now. So we'll start here with the aquarium that a lot of you will be familiar with, my rainbow fish tank. So 3 years ago I started watching videos by MD Fish Tanks and George Farmer and a few others on YouTube, and it didn't take long for me to get bitten by the bug again. So I started saving up so I could get myself a nice decent sized aquarium and get it full of plants. Whilst I was saving up, we were dealt a massive shock when my dad died suddenly. So that gave me the drive, once it had settled down, to get back into the hobby and to build this tank in honour of my dad. My dad had never really come across the amount of aquarium plants that you can get now, and he was a keen gardener, so I know that he would love this aquarium. It initially started off as it was just going to be a community tank aquarium with platies, guppies, swordtails in here. But you know how it is when you go into your local fish stores, and I'm quite lucky to have a few around here that are in a 30-mile radius from my home, and you see different fish that you've never really seen in the hobby before, and I kind of fell in love with the Bozeman's rainbow fish. I got 6, majority turned out to be males because they were quite young. But I did fall in love with them. I have managed to get females since then. And I go to the Maidenhead Aquatics in Wigan, and they tend to get quite a lot of different types of rainbow fish in. So I've been quite lucky to where I've been able to turn this aquarium into a rainbow fish aquarium. It didn't take much to change it round because I already had the filtration system. The tank's a Fluval 240 and the filtration system's a Fluval 307 or a 407. I think it's 407 actually. So that came with the kit. The light was just a normal Fluval light, which I did upgrade and put a Fluval plant light on here, and the plants kind of love it. The rainbow fish love it. There's air being pumped into there, so ideal for the rainbow fish as well. And there is also other types of fish in here. I've got Crebensis in here, which I just put in some fry from another tank just so they could grow out. I did get rid of a majority of those to my local fish store, but I did keep some, not intentionally. They was ones that I just couldn't catch. So they've stayed in this aquarium. They live side by side with the rainbow fish, and they have bred in here as well. As you can hopefully see here, a male Crebensis has dug out his own little cave, and up to now there's been 2 batches of young Crebensis that have been bred from this cave. The plants in here are all kinds of plants in here. It's quite Anubias heavy. There's Anubias nana in here. There's Anubias coin in here. The hardscape, it was rocks to the left, a piece of bogwood which looked like a tree, and some dragon rock to the right. So my idea when I set the tank up was to go Anubias heavy on the wood so it looked like a tree, and to just have some like stem plants at the back and some just mid-range plants in the middle coming to the front slightly. But then I got a lotus tiger lily and fell in love with that plant, and that plant thrives in this aquarium. It's produced 2 sister bulbs. I keep it well trimmed and it's looking beautiful. It's probably at the moment it's the best it's ever been. It's looking beautiful. It's red, it's bushy. If you do want to know how I've got my lotus tiger lily looking so good, I will put a link in the top corner there for a video I've done on how to keep it looking so great. There's also Java fern in here, Alternanthera. If I've pronounced that wrong, I do apologise. And I trimmed the Alternanthera yesterday, so it's looking a little bit dark in the middle. But when that grows back, where I've cut it, 2 stems will grow from that point. So that's going to fill out really nice. I'll keep it trimmed then, and that'll redden up with the light, and I think it's going to be looking fantastic. The fish in here, there is male and female Bozeman. I have Eastern rainbow fish, Wapoga rainbow fish in here, Madagascan rainbow fish. There's also dwarf neon rainbow fish in here. As I say, some Crebensis in here. I have Corydoras that swim around the bottom and keep all the substrate nice and clean. As they swim past any detritus, it brings it up into the water column. And there is a few silver tip tetras in here, and one of my pride and joys, he's my black red-tailed shark. Now I know after a year they can get quite defensive, and he is boisterous at times, so I know I do have to keep an eye on him, and at some point may have to move him to another tank. But at this moment in time, he's doing great, and he gets on pretty much well all the time really with the rainbow fish that are in here. So that's tank 1. I'd only had this set up for about 4 to 6 months when I decided I wanted another tank, a bigger tank. This is 4 foot, 240 litre. So I went to the store and I walked out with this beauty. So this is an Aqua 1 4 foot 300 litre tank. It's 4 foot like my rainbow fish tank, but there is a lot more width in it, so I could do a better display. This was my first proper attempt at aquascaping, and I will put a picture up in the corner there so you can see what it looked like once I'd scaped it, before I put any plants in there and before I added any water. It was my first attempt, and I've got to admit, I kind of went in balls deep and went go big or go home, and I love it. I really do love it. I managed to get hold of some nice straight branches of bogwood. I'm not quite sure what the name of the bogwood was. At the time when I set this up, I had no vision ever of doing a YouTube channel, to be perfectly honest. That came about when a friend of mine said I should have filmed it and put it on YouTube, and I decided to film my tanks, and here we are now. But when I set this up, like I say, I got the branches of bogwood, and I got bought loads of packets of spiderwood and made root systems. This tank was originally set up to home some rams. So the rock work, I built up loads of different cave systems in there for the rams, and in the cave systems I propped up the wood so it's all nice and sturdy. I glued all that together, and I then painstakingly went round and chose piece by piece the spiderwood, which I glued in place so it looked like the trees were rooting around the rock. Once that was done, I got Anubias. It didn't look anything like this. I did lose quite a lot of my photographs from early doors, so I can't really show you any pictures of how it was when I first set it up. But now the Anubias is growing in. There's Anubias petite in here, Anubias coin, Anubias bonsai. There's also, obviously, the lotus tiger lily in here, which has been in now for about 11 months, and that too has produced 2 new bulbs. One has started sprouting lilies and the other one hasn't started sprouting yet, but it's gonna look as good as what the lotus tiger lily in tank 1 does. As I say, I did originally set this tank up for electric blue rams. Due to the cave system, the filtration wasn't powerful enough, so there was detritus getting in the caves, so I introduced corridoras. Corridoras weren't really clearing out the caves as well as I had expected them to, so I had to introduce another filter. The introduction of that other filter kind of made the flow a little bit strong for the electric blue rams. They started hiding in the caves. I did turn the nozzle up to try and reduce the flow, and it did reduce the flow, and my electric blue rams, they did breed. But sadly, I did lose my electric blue rams a few months ago. I had introduced some angelfish that I picked up really cheap from a local fish store, and now it has become an angelfish tank. There's 6 angelfish in here. There is 30 to 40 cardinal tetras in here, which do look amazing when they're schooling together because of the black background. Plants, there's vowels, as I say, there's Altananthera in here as well, and it's all powered by another Fluval 3 plant light. The filtration in here is Anowazi Biomaster, and I just picked up a cheap unbranded filter just to add a little bit of power towards that. Over time, I'm hoping that the roots of the Anubias start growing down the rocks, as well as the spiderwood root system that's already there, and the Anubias will eventually really take over a majority of the rocks. The lotus tiger lily I will keep trimmed so it's small and bushy, and the angelfish breed in here regularly. Every 2 weeks or so I get angelfish eggs. Unfortunately, I've not been able to move them to another aquarium. I did try it once, but I was unsuccessful. So unfortunately, I've never had angelfish young, but you never know in the future. Now, I'd had this aquarium running for approximately 6 months when the bug struck again, and I went to my local fish store and had a look for another aquarium. This time I wanted to go smaller, so I went for this. This is the Fluval Spec, and I've kind of adapted it slightly. I took the lid off. I had a glass lid made for this, as I did on 2 other of my aquariums as well. I actually had the glass lid made for my angelfish tank as well. And in here I introduced, as an experiment for myself really more than anything, I started pumping CO2 into it. As I say, that is an experiment. I'm not exactly successful with it. The plants love it. It's Anubias, Bucephalandra, and there is Java fern in here, Altanthera, and that beautiful Echinodorus. If I have pronounced that wrong, I do apologise. My Latin isn't great. So I set this tank up. I introduced quite a few Amano shrimp in here, and I put crystal red bee shrimp in here. The crystal red bee shrimp, in which the tank was really intended for, haven't really done anything for me. They are still in here. One came out the other day, but I rarely see them. So, not knowing how many I had in there really, because I rarely see them, I decided to put some Epistogramma in here. Now, they are hiding again at the moment. There is a male and a female in here. Hopefully they breed over time. But this, as I say, is more of an experimental tank for the CO2. I've not gone ahead of myself and started getting really hard plants to grow in here. At the moment, I'm playing around with the lights. I don't really think the light is strong enough in this aquarium. The red plants don't really go red. And I've tried carpeting Monte Carlo at the front, and I've tried carpeting a grass at the front, and to be honest, I've not really been that successful. That could be down to the corridoras. I tend to like really dig it all up. So, like as I say, it's a trial and error thing. If anyone wants to give me any advice on the CO2 tank in the comments, that'd be fantastic. I'm always willing to learn, as I'm always willing to teach. So this tank was set up, and then after not long again, a few months, the bug struck again, and I decided I wanted to set up a neocaridina shrimp tank. And so I went off to a local pet store again, and I just bought this small tank. It cost me about £20. I put a little filter in there, a little heater in there, and I set it up for, as I thought, I was setting it up for neocaridina shrimp. So I put the red cherry shrimp in there, and I had no success whatsoever. It wasn't great at all. So over time I stripped it down. I had about 8 shrimp left after I'd bought probably about 30. I had about 8 shrimp left, so I took them out, put them in a bucket. I redesigned the tank, got a nice piece of bogwood. I have done a build, it's the better build, and I introduced a better into this aquarium, and I reintroduced the neocaridina cherry shrimp that are in the bucket. The better was a beautiful fish, but unfortunately the heater that I bought packed in one day when I was at work, and when I came back, unfortunately I had lost my better. So I went out, bought a new heater, and that got up and running, and I decided that I would put another better in here, but I wanted to hold out until I saw something that was a little bit more unusual. In that time of waiting though, the cherry shrimp decided that they would get their acts together. I had put a lot of the success there down to Richard at Fish Keeping Answers. He concentrates more on shrimp, and I started watching his channel, subscribed to him, got talking to him, learned a lot from him. He's now brought out an ebook which I bought, read a good few times, and I do put now the success of this tank down to Richard's ebook, so I will thank him, and I will put a link to his channel in the comments. So 8 cherry shrimp went into this tank when it was set up as a betta tank, and last night I counted over 70. There are loads in here now. So now I'm not going to put another betta in here. I'm just going to do it how it was originally set up for, and that's for the neocaridina shrimp, because they're thriving in here now. There are some guppies in here, keeps detritus worms down, and there is a couple of otocinclus in here, and it is powered by a fluval nanolight. I think that is all for this tank. I do hope you've enjoyed today's video. I do hope you've enjoyed the tour. The tour is in my lounge, and I'm struggling for room for more tanks at the moment, but you know how it is. You sit there looking at things that could go, and you never know. Another tank may be on the horizon, who knows. If you have enjoyed today's video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and leave any comments in the comments section. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.